if you want to go make money, go make money. No one's stopping Ron Johnson from making money or any of these members of Congress. Don't be a member of Congress. If your goal is to make a ton of money, go find something else to do.
All right, thanks for joining me. Can you introduce yourself? We've talked before, but you know.
Hey, I'm Greg Landsman from Cincinnati, a member of Congress from Southwest Ohio.
So you've got a new framework that I am a little obsessed with of 10 bills that are actually based on something the Republicans did in the 90s. Can you
Yeah.
tell us about the background? Like, where did this idea come from and
Yeah,
what is
so
it
this
for?
Yeah, so the moment is obviously a very problematic moment. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty, struggle. There's this, rise of authoritarianism here and around the world. Like, how do we meet this moment? What do we do? And obviously, there is this sort of fight back every day and stand up for what you believe. Part of that, but I also think we have to lay out a vision for where we should be going, how we fix the things that are broken. Like people are frustrated with the economy. The economy is broken. It's becoming more and more unaffordable. And so, here is a governing plan for making the country more affordable. And that's everything from healthcare to housing to education. Like we I think most of us, and this includes independents and Republicans, certainly Democrats, it's like we all want as Americans to have a government that's making life easier, more affordable, safer for us. And we're looking at an economy that's rigged for the super wealthy, and we're very frustrated, and the frustration is going up and up and up and up. So, like what is the governing plan to fix the economy? What's the plan to make people safe, across the board, whether that's national security or crime in our cities? How do you do immigration in a way that creates, or establishes border security, but also creates pathways and doesn't lead to the kind of mayhem and chaos we see right now? And how do you make government work? How do you like end corruption and like get all of that crap that we all hate about politics and government, out and fix all of that? So this is a governing document that will fix all of the things that are broken. And Republicans did this in 1994. They were in a similar position, kind of in the wilderness. They had lost everything. And, Bill Clinton had just become president, and they laid out a reform, anti-status quo, anti-establishment agenda. It was 10 bills called the Contract for America. And they went all over the country, and it was a signing ceremony to say, like, hey, this person is on board, this leader is on board with this new governing document. And it was a way of galvanizing people around a vision for change. And so, I laid out what I think our 10 bills should be. And this is a new governing document that will fix the economy, fix democracy, fix our government, fix politics, and keep people safe. And I think those are the things that matter most. I also call for a new entity, that there's just nothing that exists right now that can really meet this moment. We need dedicated leadership, like real leadership, and a new entity to meet this moment and shift the conversation to where we need to go, and start to mobilize people around that. I think that gets us out of this mess.
Do you mean like another party, or what do you mean by entity?
The DNC has its thing, right? Like, and the DCCC and the DSCC, and Republicans have the same sort of pieces of they have the same infrastructure. All of those people have something they have to do, right? I believe we need an entity that's focused on fighting back against the chaos of this administration, where sort of the litigation is clearer, the strategy around the communications is clear, but more importantly, and I think this is where my plan or what I laid out in the pledge comes into play. Like, this is the entity that would begin the conversation with the American people about where we go from here, and a new governing document. I mean, if they had Project 2025, like,
Mhm.
which they hid, they pretended didn't exist, even though it was 1,000-page document that they're clearly in the midst of implementing. I mean, something like, I think there is a tracker,
Yeah.
And the last time I checked, they were like 40% of the way through Project 2025. It is a deeply unpopular governing document. This new entity would focus entirely on this and
Mm.
how we build the actual, how we build each of these bills out and how we make it happen, similar to what they did, but for good. And so if you go to my Substack or my Instagram or TikTok, you can read through the bills, or I walk through each one of them. But it is a governing document that I believe would be or have the support of something like 70 to 80% of Americans. This is where most Americans are.
Hmm.
And I don't see why we shouldn't take this on and say to the American people, we have a much better way of running this whole thing. And here it is. And to me, that's what people are clamoring for. They need something to hold on to, especially in a moment of uncertainty and at times just like outrage, right? Like what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And yes, you can say, don't do that, or we're going to take you to court, or, we're going to fight you this way, or we're going to fight you that way, of course. But I also think you have to say to the American people, there's a better way. There is a much better path to fixing all of these issues, and here's that path.
Can you give like a quick boom, boom, boom of what the 10 are, just so I have them here for people?
Yeah.
I'm gonna direct them to where to go see them, but
The first bill is a bill to fix the economy, including the tax code. And it's a bill called Reward Hard Work, Not Wealth. Right now, the economy, the tax code, everything is set up to reward wealth. That's why the wealthier are getting wealthier. That's why there was a couple hundred billionaires. Now there are, 1,000+ billionaires. I mean, it's like, and their wealth is just doubling or tripling or quadrupling, every month or whatever it is. So all of the wealth and power has shifted over the last 50 years from the majority of us to literally 2,000, 3,000 people.
hmm.
And that is a recipe for economic, disaster. Like that's how economies crash.
Hmm.
It's also just morally repugnant. And so this bill would reverse everything that's been in play, rigging this economy for the last 50 years. So it fixes the tax code. Everybody at the top pays all their taxes. All of that revenue gets reinvested in working people, the middle class, small businesses, farmers, where they get more tax relief. And for some people who are struggling to pay all their bills, they get tax relief in the form of monthly payments,
Hmm.
like Social Security, where they get that tax relief up front and over the course of a year so they can pay all their bills. That's great for them. It's great for our economy. You're going to see massive economic growth, right? Because now you have tens of millions of people who are able to pay for all of their bills, all of the things, and that generates enormous growth across the board.
Hmm.
But this bill would also take back our tariff authority and the trade wars. It would take on corporate consolidation because when you have these companies consolidate, they control the price of things, and so they price gouge. And so we needed in one bill an entire fix. This is our fix to what's broken about the economy. That's the most important one.
Yeah.
Okay. The second one is what I call Build Baby Build Bill, which some people are going to be like, that's triggering. But we need to build in this country. Like Democrats have to be the people that are leading the charge of getting government to be really good at getting money out the door and building shit. So like if we are going to invest in infrastructure, go build it fast, quickly, go build it. Housing, like to cut all the red tape and to update, land use and zoning policies, permitting reform, all of those things. This is the one bill that just rips all of the sort of barriers to building, uh, rips all of that out, or gets it out of the way. And all of a sudden, we become the folks who are leading the charge. We're building so much infrastructure, so much more housing, getting rents down. and broadband everywhere. So like this is how we become like a country that builds again.
Hmm.
The third one is the Improved Care Lower Costs Act. This is all about healthcare reform. There's a ton in here, but it's restoring all the healthcare cuts. It's establishing a public option so people can buy into Medicare, and it's requiring full transparent, radical transparency for health insurance companies, pharmaceutical, the folks who are driving up the costs, so that we can understand why the costs are going up, and how to reverse that,
Mm.
so we can expand healthcare and lower costs. The fourth is a 21st century anti-crime bill, which pairs gun reform with hiring more cops. We need common sense gun reform, and we need to help communities hire more police officers. And we did this in the 90s where it included mass incarceration, so none of that. Like I actually think a lot of this bill should include decriminalizing marijuana
Mm.
and those kinds of things. But it should include, 100,000 new police officers, along with comprehensive background checks, banning weapons, or limiting assault weapons to certain places. But a host of gun reform legislation that makes sense, red flag laws, all the things that will help get guns out of our communities, the illegal ones, where gun owners are totally protected, 100% protected. But everybody who is trying to get weapons for bad, it is much easier for law enforcement to get them off the streets or to get their guns off the streets. And because it's paired with hiring more officers, I think you'll see what we haven't seen since we had gun reform the last time. You'll see police, law enforcement saying, yes, these are common sense gun reforms that will make it easier for us to keep everyone safe. All right, I'll do the other ones much more quickly. Uh, the fifth one is the Improve Education Act. This is a fundamental fix to our education system. It is investing in prenatal care and paid family leave and childcare and preschool, because that's where the vast majority of brain development happens in the first 5 years. So it will dramatically improve outcomes for children, and it would also see us investing more in what public school classrooms need. They need extra time. They need after school programming. They need summer learning. They need additional supports for teachers. They need better pay for teachers. And then it would also make college and career training infinitely more affordable. The sixth is the Improving the Federal Government Act. This requires an actual vote every year on waste, fraud, and abuse. So it literally takes the GAO reports on every agency that lay out all the waste, fraud, and abuse, and requires Congress to vote on it. So that we would be the group of people leading the charge on waste, fraud, and abuse, and making government work, because we desperately need it to work, because we care about the people who need it to work, and we want them to get better services. And so this would fundamentally improve government. It would, it's an it says like we're going to fix it, right? The seventh is the Fix Our Democracy bill. It's the John Lewis voting rights bill. It bans dark money. It ends voter suppression, ends partisan gerrymandering. We desperately need that. The eighth bill is the Border Security and Immigration Reform Act. We can get into that, but that is all of the border security work that we need. More patrol officers, more judges, but then we need legal pathways for people working here, for the dreamers. This is what the vast majority of Americans want: is they want the border secure, and they want comprehensive immigration reform. And then the Restoring Personal Liberties Act. I just think that we have to be a group that's focused entirely on getting government out of people's businesses when it comes to their health care, in particular. And so that's restoring reproductive freedom, and saying to kids, and adults that are struggling with gender identity, we're going to leave you alone. You and your doctor and your families, you guys are in charge. Politicians are getting out of your way. And then the last one is around national security and strengthening our position around the world, and really doubling down on our partnership with our allies and democracy. So it's a lot. Climate, by the way, is in the Build Baby Build bill, where we would tackle climate by saying we're going to build more charging stations, we are going to build more EV cars, but we're going to create the kind of incentives in the market where people can afford these cars because we took the subsidy from 7,500 to 15,000 and we just flooded the country with charging stations because we're builders now. So that to me is a path forward that's infinitely better than just saying what we're against.
Yes. Yeah. So this makes me want to run through a wall in like a nice way. So it's like a wish list of everything that I hear from people on like the entire spectrum, from my farthest left friends to like my very apolitical independent friends who don't like either party. So
Yeah.
just like people. But there are so many roadblocks to getting things accomplished. It seems like Congress has ground to a halt. Nothing interesting gets passed. So like how do we make this happen? I know that when Newt Gingrich wrote his contract for America, he went around and had every Republican sign it. But I even something like that seems like a pie in the sky dream to have every Democrat get on board with one thing. But like, what do you think is the path
I mean,
forward?
what they did was in 1994 is they said, look, we're going to pick 60-40 issues. Like the 10 bills that they picked were very popular. I would argue that these are probably 80-20 issues.
I agree.
And so I do think everyone should sign on to this or something similar. And, I'll spend the next couple of months listening and editing and fine tuning. But this is why this second entity, or this is why the second piece of the plan or proposal is really important. We need an entity
Hmm.
stood up to focus on getting this done, right? Because it can't just be something that people use politically, right? It has to really mean, look what they're doing with Project 2025.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 1,000 pages, and then they literally like started working it, and they had a single organization, the Heritage Foundation, leading the charge. And now those people are running the government, including, the top guy who's the head of the Office of Management and Budget, Russ Vogt, right? So, like, why are we not standing up an entity that says we're going to fix this? It is, and I mean, people talked about, oh, it's Project 2026. It's like, fine. It is,
Yeah.
it is how it is bigger than the last couple of years. What's happening in terms of the broken economy and the broken immigration system and our broken politics and the mess around our democracy has been happening for 50 years.
Hmm.
And so we need an entity that we stand up that's focused on fixing this over the course of the next 10, 20, 30 years.
How do you think about some kind of entity like that when people, I think, are really distrustful of like consultants and think tanks when it comes to the Democratic Party? Because I think a lot of people blame them for our loss in 2024.
Including me.
Yeah.
Uh, like I don't it can't be those people. I don't know what to say other than no. Like
Yeah.
it can't be grifters. Like so many of these people just look for opportunities to make money. This has to be, a group of people and with really good quality leadership that care about not only good policy and fixing the things that are broken, but understand communications and organizing. Because ultimately, you got to go out and organize an entire country around this so that you have the political will, that it exists, that they demand that this get, pursued, that that all of it becomes law, that we have a group of people, Republicans included, that are willing to fix the tax code after 50 years of this nonsense and make the folks at the top pay all their taxes so that we can balance the budget, reduce the deficit spending, and invest in the people who need it, right? Like this should be Republicans, Democrats, and independents all working together to lower healthcare costs, to like the democracy reforms to me are like I can't believe anyone's against this, but like everyone should be pushing on all of their elected officials to end voter suppression. Like we're about to see this gerrymandering like war.
Yeah.
We need a bill. We need to end partisan gerrymandering once and for all. We need
Hmm.
to end dark money. Like all the anti-corruption stuff, like this, the bill to get members of Congress out of the business of trading stocks, that's an 80-20, 90-10 issue.
Yeah.
And so this is why you have to have a pretty big, well-established organization focused entirely on communications and mobilization of Americans around a vision for fundamental change.
I watched the debates over that bill in the Senate last week, and hearing Ron Johnson say like we shouldn't be punishing people who don't want to be poor. I went and looked up his net worth. He is worth $40 million.
It is absurd when anyone talks about this as like, cutting off, this opportunity. Like if you want to be a member of Congress, you're cutting yourself off of those opportunities, and that's okay. That's what public service should be. My wife always says this is the most expensive job I could have taken, in part because we sold all of our stocks, and we had to pay like $180,000 in capital gains taxes. And that's a lot of money. But guess what? That's because my mom gave me a lot of money. Like I'm okay. She's probably gonna be pissed when she finds out. I'm just waiting for the story because I think the Wall Street Journal is gonna and then cover the fact that like because they asked me like how much did you lose? I was like, well, we paid $180,000. I think
So
my
they're
mom's gonna be like that. I worked really hard. But yeah, I'm in a good position. I can do this either way. Get out of the business of buying and selling stocks.
yeah,
Like, it's absurd. And if you want to go make money, go make money. No one's stopping Ron Johnson from making money or any of these members of Congress. Don't be a member of Congress. If your goal is to make a ton of money, go find something else to do.
yeah. Go work for Microsoft. They had great earnings this week.
Yeah.
So what would you like to see voters do right now?
I mean, what I would love for people to do is engage in this. So, like, go to our Substack, Instagram, wherever. I think that the plan is almost everywhere at this point, and just weigh in. Like, what did you like about it? What did you want to see change? We've gotten really good feedback. We'll adjust it over the course of the next couple of months and sort of update the whole thing by the end of the year. So, at the beginning of next year, we have an even better, more informed plan. So at the moment, I would just ask people to engage and tell us what you think.
All right. Well, I will have them do that. Well, thanks so much for your time and good luck. And I'm very excited about this.